3 in the pipe already. Look at you guys. How you doing, guys, everyone? It's Mikey Wine here. Gun the Morning Works, and we're live again. I did a little bit of work. Everything's been kind of flashing by really fast, trying to get ready for this new job. And got family coming in town tomorrow, and then they leave on Sunday. So we're going to continue right where we pretty much left off last week. But what's up, Giovanni? Nigel's in. Giovanni's in. How you doing? Got one more watching but not talking, and that's fine too. Thank you for joining in, everyone. So let me just go down here. I've been still doing some careful fitting of this big interior piece, and I'm still trying to figure out the best way to install it, because it wants you, the instructions are to assemble the entire thing as a unit and then basically plop it into the two halves of the fuselage. But what's up, George? George is in here. But it's because it's such a fragile piece, and so it has to fit so precisely. I'm not sure I'm going to do it that way. I'm trying to figure out if it's easier to, like I've been doing, is installing the main body piece into the fuselage and then put the floor in. I'm still kind of leaning toward that, because otherwise I'd have to glue everything together, and it's got to be at the right angles. Everything's got to be, just the right bends. And because it's such a precise fit, it's almost easier just to do it in sections. That way, if I do need to make an adjustment, I can do that at the time. But we'll get down here and show you what's going on the bench. So most of the large photo, in fact, all of the large photo etch is pretty much done. I did a little bit of photo etch this week, not much, just a couple of pieces, and I'll get into that, and then I'll show some of the other stuff. Last week we were trying to fit these kind of funky lightning bolt shaped pieces that take up the space between the photo etch in the body and the original kit, and I'm still trying to get those bends correct, and that's why it might be easy. You'll see what I'm talking about when we get in there. So what's up, Julius? Julius is in the house. How's it going, everybody? So let's get down here to the close-up, and I'll put my mags on. I'll go over some of the pieces I've done. This was just I'm not even sure if this is a weapon or some kind of a sensor. It does swivel up and down and back and forth on the kit, so I think it might be a gun of some kind, but I'd have to watch the movie to find out for sure. But there were some really small pieces there. There's a piece right in front, and then on each side there's these little grills. Now you could have the grills open or closed. I chose to do them closed. I had to fill in a seam there on either side first before I fitted the photo etch, but that is that. And then the other piece is this little fence here. This is supposed to take up the very back area where that body section narrows down. You've got this piece here that closes off the back, which I was talking about that last week. And then this is this little kind of a fence. And that's supposed to somehow fit into that trapezoid shape when you get the bends right. Now this piece here, this is a roof rail that goes in on down the center about this position here inside. So that has to be attached separately as well. And then there's also some other rails that go inside, and handles, things that go inside the canopy section. So it's very tedious, we talked about this almost every week, and it seems like I'm not making any progress, but I am. It's just slow going, trying to get it all sorted. So I'm going to take this apart. We can see all the photo etch that's been done to the landing gear. And this is the best setup possible in order for me to still be able to install this piece up front, and it can still swivel. Because if I had the gear in, it would interfere with that. So I chose to do these two forward. These are all retracted here, but the ramp is still in the down position. So when you're looking up from the outside, you can see the hallway there. And then I've got to take those fingers of that floor piece and bend them down to match the angle of this ramp. That's right at the top of the ramp. There's like a little step, so you can kind of see those tabs are just sticking out and free floating. I've got to bend them down. I got to get the right angle there. So I'm just going to pop this off. I can show you a little bit closer what that looks like. So I get it to come off. Okay, so here's that ramp piece right at the top. Those fingers have got to come down and go into each one of these grooves. So it's going to be a little bit of a challenge to get that perfect. But I think if I take the floor piece out and I just bend them, at the halfway point, bend them down a certain degree, then I can see where it's at, and then I can do an adjustment from there. So I'm just going to take this apart. Giovanni says, what's Giovanni doing? The MGO. Oh, by the way, you know what's funny about that story about the MGO? Okay, we were talking about this last week. Giovanni found one in a store. I waited over a year for my pre-order that I paid for and everything from USA Gundam Store. And they kept sending me emails saying, oh, well, we're still waiting, we're still waiting. So I gave them a year to the day when I placed it, and that was in February. And I finally just gave up, and I said, you know what, it's time for a refund. I'm done. So I asked for a refund. They gave me the refund instantly, took care of it. That was fine. Just like 2 days ago, I get an email from, the normal emails I get from USA Gundam Store. Back in stock, MGO. I'm like, you sons of bitches. So I went ahead and paid for it this time because I knew it was still in stock. It wasn't a pre-order, and I was able to get it. So yeah, I know it has the O back in stock. That's what I just said. I just bought it. I bought it yesterday or the day before. The real, I even thought about not buying it again. I was like, do I really need it? Am I going to build it? Panel lining and stuff like that. So that's why I want to get it. I want to do a different color scheme and a different, some color separation by doing some custom panel lining and stuff like that, custom scribing, all that stuff. So that's the plan, but we'll see. So far they got to send it to me. Right now it's still at their warehouse apparently. So anyway, if we look in here, you can see down the hallway. You get a good view. Last week we showed these off. I have painted these. These are those little nodule cells that go inside, and you'll see these on the inside down that hallway. There's a smaller set of 4 on the 4 top holes. The bottom ones are slightly larger. That's these here. These are the smaller guys. Excuse me. I got these kind of sitting in a block here. So these are the smaller ones. They will come in, facing the inside, of course. But there's also a lot of other things going on inside. There's the seating in the front here. There's 5 seats, including the center cockpit seat. Then there's 4 more. Then you've got all the seats. There's 4 seats that go along the wall throughout the back. So I'm going to have to put all that in first. And the biggest challenge is getting this. Now you can see those little fingers right there. These are those little tabs. They're just kind of hanging out. They're very, very fragile. Do I just snap them off, or do I try to bend them, get them to see? This has got to go up against this wall on both sides. And this is the problem I'm running into, is because it's a very precise fit. So this has to sit out here and here. So that's what makes me think it would be easier to put the roof section in first, tack these down to the walls. That way, when I do the floor section, the floor piece right here, this will be easier to install after the fact. And I don't need to worry about whether the seams of everything line up perfectly, because they'll still be overlapping, but they just won't be. Let's see if I can get this to come out. I'm trying to take this apart without, easiest thing to pull this off. This top piece kind of holds the 2 halves together. So once I get it separated, I can just pop this up and this will come right out. But I got to be careful because I've already had to re-glue this front piece. This whole front piece is separate, and it's really crazy how it kind of attaches. There's not a lot to it. So I am going to be treating these tonight. I've got my little tin here. I'm going to treat them with the metal prep from VMS. and we're getting ready to prime them and start painting. So this weekend, I'll be spending it with my son and my granddaughter, who I've never met before. So it'll be kind of cool. So they're here for the weekend. And then next week, I'm hoping to sit down on the bench quite a bit because I'm off the entire week until I start working the following week at the new job. So I spent some time really trying to get this thing going, get some good progress on it. But until then, it's going to be a little bit of the same. The way that plastic feels really thin. The best way to describe. You're talking about the O? Yeah. Describe the O. Be with inner armor supporting it. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Good to know. Good to know there. Exciting stuff like meeting your granddaughter for the first time. Yeah, it is going to be cool. I mean, they were trying for a lot of years to have a child by themselves, and they were struggling medically and stuff like that, going through all these, spending thousands of dollars on procedures and stuff like that, but weren't able to. So they ended up adopting in the end, and it's been just awesome for them. They're doing great. So last year we were going to try to get down there, but then my wife had to have surgery for her shoulder. The year before that, we were trying to get down there. I had to have surgery for my hernia, and so it just hasn't been working out. Now she's 3 years old, and they just said, we're going to come see you. So it all worked out in the end. I'm just going to glue a couple of little, because as I've been moving this thing around and bending it back and forth, the funny thing is there's an actual line in the photo etch that suggests that there's supposed to be a bend here. I bend in. But the thing is, it doesn't actually require that. I think it's supposed to sit straight, because this back half here, this is this little funny trapezoid piece. Okay, this is supposed to, you can kind of see how that comes together. This is supposed to sit right here. It may fall, but I'm going to just let go. Okay, now you see there's some gaps there. This has got to come together. And all those edges, you just glue them. And then that's where this cage piece comes in. This is supposed to be inside, like somewhere in back here. It's very, very tedious. So I am going to tack down. I can see where a couple of these little areas inside there. Remember, this was 2 layers of photo etch that went inside one another. I can see where some of them are lifted slightly. So I'm just going to go in and tack them down. Make sure they're as close to each other as possible. And then that way, when I go to put those round resin pieces in, they'll glue in nice and flat. Anyway, how's everybody's week going? I've been doing not a whole lot, because not a whole lot on this. I mean, I've just been kind of being relaxing. I haven't had a vacation in who knows how long. So I have been spending a lot of time doing absolutely nothing. Getting ready for the new job, just trying to mentally, get everything going. I did all the onboarding stuff that they needed me to last week, and my former employers, well, not the employers, but people I work with, took the time to take me out to lunch on the last day and had a card signed by everybody. It's the first time I've ever worked at a place where they actually had signed a card and said goodbye, and it was kind of touching because, like I said, I've never had that before, and I didn't realize I made that kind of an impact on people. But it was really, really nice to see what some of the people wrote in the card. Evening, fellas. What's up, Nick? How you doing? Nick is in the house. All right. So I did a little bit of glue there. I'm going to take my glue remove very quickly here. Now that piece is set that I just tacked down, but I'm going to take off any residual around it. This stuff works really good. I mean, it takes a little bit of time. It does say, to leave it on there for a bit of time. It doesn't go underneath the piece you're working on, which is nice because you'd think it would separate the glue, but all it does is take off the residual. So once you get a nice little coat of this on there, let it set for a minute, and then go right back and just scrub it off, and it just takes off the residual. Doesn't leave anything behind, which is kind of nice. I just got a little too much, so I'm going to soak it up with that. But because I just glued this, it hasn't been dry for very long. It tends to come off a little bit quicker. All right. I have the other resin pieces primed as well. Those are still sitting on the spray booth over there. So I got some more resin bits other than just the seats. Got all those, 8. I keep saying like nacelles, but like those little receivers where the wings come in from the other side. I've got 8 of those. Those are on the pegs you saw. Then there's 4 little mechanical bits that go in these spots here. Actually 6, excuse me. They go on these 3 on each side. And then that rail I was showing earlier, this rail here goes somewhere around here. It's supposed to sit between the first and second set of those. So somewhere right about there. I don't know if you guys can even see that. It'll focus. So that's got to be glued down separately. So I'm going to prep all these pieces once I get the residual that glue off and get ready so I can start priming and painting this stuff. So I really want it. This is the biggest step. I think once this whole thing gets tackled, then it's just a matter of buttoning up, finishing the wings, painting everything. I'll have to do some masking probably on the canopy. One of the videos I watched, the way these glass pieces are set up, if you look at the frame, you can see little notches down each side and that's what locks the glass in there. But it also kind of takes away from the effect of the frame. So what I want to do, I'll do what he did, was he masked off the glass piece without that little tab. So that tab gets painted as well, and it helps blend in that frame a little bit better around those pieces. You can see, like, even here, there's a pretty big notch around, then that's just where, like I said, that's what kind of the glass just kind of snaps in place. But I think if you mask that properly and once you paint it, it should disappear. Those little notches should disappear in a little bit, at least more than just leaving them alone. It'll look a little more natural. And I still haven't glued these side pieces here. You can see these are still separated because I'm waiting until the last minute. Once I know this is all fitted properly and I can put this cap on the back and get all that done, get it painted, then I'll glue these side pieces. I've already glued them once, but I had to separate them. They weren't glued very well, thankfully, and I was able to, all my manipulation and bending and putting everything in and out, they finally separated again, and it's fine. But one of the key things I had to do was, because that second layer overlapped that seam, I just kept bending that back and forth until it separated. So at least now I've got, those 2 pieces are glued in on this piece, and now this is separate, so I don't have to worry about that. I can bend it whatever angle I need, and then glue it in place. Nothing wrong with buying a kit twice. I have a few doubles. Yeah, well, especially Macross kits. I got so many extras, so good. I bought another Quedlin Row for Myriad. I bought the second one with the Max version. I've got several Glog, the pods and Valkyries. I still have 3 Skull Squadron, Valkyrie from the movie edition. Because I wanted to build the entire squadron eventually. So, yeah. So 3134. There's a piece of photo etch that I'm trying to find on these instruction sheets because I don't remember seeing where it went. The nice part about some of this photo etch is they did make duplicates in case especially the small stuff, if you end up losing one. So it's supposed to be a number 34, but I don't think I remember seeing 34. But anyway, some of the smaller bits, they gave you redundancy, so in case you lose one or it flies off, you can't, or you bend it wrong and it screws it all up, they give you an extra couple of them. It's not there. So let's put that back in the box. Check this one. 34. It's not part of those. Huh. I don't know. I'm going to keep looking. Somewhere on these, it's got to be there. Oh my God. Mary Jerry, what's up? Never missed one of my streams. You're truly legendary. As one of the biggest admirers, I'm excited. Jeez. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, man. One of the biggest admirers. I'm excited to watch every step of the way. Very cool. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining in. It's only a matter of time until you blow up. What is that? Oh, is this a Odin, blah, 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 blah. I don't even know what that says. Or is this or am I talking to the same person? I don't know. Well, thank you so much for the kind words. I appreciate it. Anywho, let's see. Okay, so let me do this. Let's let that dry. So I had some of that remover on there. I want to make sure that's completely gone. I got a little bit left. I can see here now that it's sitting. I should be able to get it all off. Yep. So I'm going to let this dry. In the meantime, I'm going to... I thought about using the airbrush, but I'm going to use this metal prep just straight up with a flat brush. I've already shaken it up, so I should be able to just put a little bit in a... kind of has like a translucent kind of... It's kind of a milky... It doesn't look like it doesn't fully stick to everything, you know what I mean? It's just kind of spread it around. But it's supposed to be an adhesion promoter, so I'll try to keep it on the chat here as I do this. You only have to wait about 15 minutes or so for this to dry, and then it's ready to prime and paint. How do you say that? Odemole? I don't know. I'm butchering it, I'm sure. Yeah, this will be a little bit easier. There's going to be less waste here because there's really no way for me to put that back. I don't know. Maybe I can pull that nozzle out. I might be able to do it that way. I was going to say there's no way to really return any unused product back to the bottle, but and some of this stuff I'm not going to be too concerned about. Little tiny pieces, I mean, they'll take pain as long as they're not getting scratched. It'll be fine. But the stuff that may be handled or touched or moved, I want to make sure at least that's got some of this stuff on there. It basically says just paint it on with a flat brush and let it dry. I'm just spreading it around. I mean, you're supposed to degrease the metal too, but I skipped that step. I probably should have taken some isopropyl alcohol or something, but It'll be fine, they say, right? It'll be fine. All right, so I think I'm done exactly what I'm supposed to do here. I'm just spin this around. It almost kind of acts like a decal softener. It kind of pools a little bit. So I'm just gonna keep spreading it out, making sure I get a decent coat on there. And I'm sure it won't hurt the plastic any. Because again, it's a adhesion promoter, so if anything, it'll help. If I do get a little bit on the plastic, it's not gonna be a problem. I wonder if some people use this and paint their photo etch before, you know what I mean, before you install it or something like that. I don't know. Tell me what you think if you know. But I'm just gonna. These are where those 4 seats go. You can see the little dots. Those are where the legs of the frame goes, and those 4 little jump seats will go there. And then you got 2 seats up here, 2 seats here, and then the cockpit or the pilot seat, sits in the front. And then the controls mount right in these 2 little square tabs here and here. That's where the controls go. So I've got to make sure I've got the seat in the right position, front, forward to back. I've got to put the frame down first, the seat frame, and then the resin seat goes on top of that. So I got to make sure I got the right distance there, so the controls line up with the pilot's hands. Of course, it would be silly if it couldn't get that to work out right. Just the little things I'm thinking about when I'm doing this. If using Mr. Surfacer as your base primer would be nice and good anyway. Yeah, I'll probably end up using the guy nuts, which is what I've been using lately, especially because I do have both in black. I've got Mr. Color as well in black, but I do like the black guy nuts. In fact, it works well as almost like a pre-shade black as well. So I'm skipping a step by priming it and using that as my pre-shade color underneath, because it kind of works out that way. So I'm going to leave this piece here to dry. Let's see, what do we got? Let me go back. Now this is probably dry enough. So I'm going to prep this whole piece. This is going to be the big one. It's going to be a little bit difficult to paint, but that's another reason I haven't fully closed this up yet, is because I want to make sure I can still get in there with an airbrush, because I want to paint the frame, the raised piece that went in that kind of skeletal frame. I want that to be a little bit lighter than the color behind it. So I'm going to do the whole thing in black primer, and then the background will be done in a darker gray, and then I want that frame to be done in a lighter gray. That'll kind of give it some texture, and it'll be easier to see from the outside, I think, if I do it that way. Most armor modelers prime the PE once on the kit. Yeah, that's what I did with the Abrams. I just glued everything on there first, and then I just shot it with all at one time with gray primer. Or did I use black on that one too? I can't remember. So I'll probably do a couple of coats of this just to make sure, because again, it doesn't fully spread out and lay thin on the entire surface. It kind of pools, retracts on itself a little bit. So just to make sure I got enough on there for that every little bit has a little bit of residual that has dried in place. I think that'll help. And then it'll be good to go this week. I'm really looking forward to starting to paint some stuff. I know I've been kind of dragging on with this photo etch, but this is probably by far the most elaborate complicated, set of photo etch that I've ever done. I've never had a single piece this large in anything. It's usually just little buckles and handles and small, inserted pieces. Like there's the good photo etch sets for the Valkyries and stuff, but they're limited to like the exhaust nodules and the the intakes and stuff like that. So their pieces are half the size of this, maybe a third of the size of this, not this giant piece. So and just getting it to fit right has been such a challenge. So I mean, there was I don't know if George watched the last couple streams, but I shared something about it. There was a couple times where I was thinking, man, this is going to be one of those, I think, that's just going to go in the box. It's not going to get finished. It's going to get tossed because this is just, near impossible thing to fit right. But a little bit of patience and just working slowly with it and, kind of tacking down an edge here, an edge there until I get the right bend and the right fit for it, and I've got it pretty close right now, so it's feeling pretty good about it. Now I just want to start putting some paint down. So all right, I'm gonna let this dry. I hope this stuff doesn't. I mean, it looks like it's drying. I'm trying to make sure it dries smooth because it almost looks like it left a texture. If it did, I'm not going to be too happy about that. I can't do much about it because that's the way it seems to want to. Well, there's two there. It doesn't spread smoothly, It stays pooled or pools up. Let's see, maybe I can take a Q-tip here. I think this is water-based, so I'm going to try something in the back here. And just dip this Q-tip in a little bit of water. I hope that's just a discoloration, not an actual texture, because if it did texture my kit, that's going to be a disappointment. So I got a little bit of water here. Better late than never. Who showed up? Oh, Angel? Yeah, all good, dude. Wonder if I could even apply this adhesion promoter with a Q-tip as well, because the Q-tip is soft and I just don't want it to keep pulling up, so I'm kind of making sure it's going to run smooth. Like I said, the last thing I want to do is create a texture. I want it to be smooth, but it seems like when you paint that stuff on it with a brush, it wants to kind of collect, and it almost leaves like a texture, it seems like, when it dries. All right. Yeah, I don't think that's going to change much. It's not changing, so it's going to have to leave it alone. Hopefully that'll be good. All right, let's clean my brush. I got a few more pieces I could do, but they're not attached to any model yet, so I think I'll wait till after I glue them in. Maybe IPA will break the surface tension. Maybe isopropyl. Yeah, I could see if I got some real quick. I think I do. Let me go check real quick. I'll be right back. Yeah, it's not the highest percentage, but it's 70%, so it should be decent enough. Let's take a little bit of this. I'll find another. Just made a mess. I was trying to separate these little tins, and I ended up just dumping one out with everything that was in it. LEDs, all sorts of stuff. I'll go fishing for that stuff later. All right. So I'm going to take a little bit of ISO here. All right. Let's see if that changes things. I'm doing this in the back. This will be the least area that I can see. It does seem to be, I don't know, it seems like it might be smoothing it out. I don't know. I'll clean this brush first. This. All right. Just testing on the fret. On the fret first. What fret are you talking about? What fret are you talking about, Nigel? PEO, of course. Yeah, testing it right on the model. What could go wrong? Well, it seems to have really dried out the surface of that. I guess it has cleaned it. It's interesting because when you go over it, it's like it goes nice and shiny, and then when it dries, it leaves like a pattern on there, like not a texture necessarily, but a I don't know. I guess the only one way to find out. When we go to prime this. Yeah, that came out pretty good. That one's nice and dry. Nice and smooth, too. This piece, anyway. Yeah, let's do that. Let's see if I can take. Let's see if I got a big enough piece here. There's a pretty good section here. So I'm going to grab another Q-tip and apply this with a Q-tip. dry it up. I don't know if adding that to it works or not. Let's see. That's kind of an impressive result. I just dipped the Q-tip in the ISO first and then the promoter and rubbed it on there, and it just came out perfectly smooth. You can see a little bit of a border where I stopped the Q-tip, but other than that, the surface is super clean. So let's see if I can get this to smooth out. It looks good. It's nice and polished too. Yeah, just doing that first and then into that works well. I've got to weather this too a little bit too, because it will be, oh, see some dust and dirt. This is a sandy environment, right? In the movie Dune. So all right, so far so good. Let's see if I can go back over this. This one didn't come out quite as noticeable as that floor piece. But it does have a few of those little collected areas there. Lots of dust. Yep. You've done so many on-model tests that kick your butt. I should have used a piece of scrap. Yeah, I guess that can be a headache. I mean, this is just straight up PE, you'd think. A product designed strictly for metal prep wouldn't give you this kind of a reaction, but it seems to be okay. I guess time will tell when we go to prime this, paint it, see what it looks like. Might require a little bit of a light sanding or something. It still shouldn't be too big a deal. Okay. All right, so that worked out good. I'm going to keep that on hand for later. The water, not so much. I think the ISO had a better result. So it would seem. Yeah, I think it's more of a, because I can't feel it. The only thing I feel is the panel lines. It seems more like just a discoloration at this point that looked like, a pattern. I mean, It might still have a texture to it, but I'll see. Priming it was going to be the result there. That will be the big indicator. All right, I'm going to do some of these smaller bits now. I got these foldable seats, and then I also have the actual frames that the front cockpit seats sit on. These are the seats that go in the back, the little jump seats. And then I have 5 of these guys. These are all folded up seat frames. Because the model, the original kit just comes with, the seat frame is kind of built into the seat. There's not much to it. I just hope these are all as flat as they can be, because the last thing I want is a bunch of crooked seats, in the crooked seats in the back. So I'm only going to do, I think the front is all I'm going to need to worry about on these. Because I think the side, oops, I need more of this. The sides and the back will be not going to be handled or touched or anything. This, I only want the flat surfaces to really. Someone needs to take these chocolate marshmallow fish away from me. Chocolate marshmallow fish. I don't think they sell those in the States. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I've only got a glass of wine. I don't have anything to eat in here right now. So anyway, for those people that are new, like, share, subscribe. The usual routine. Doesn't cost you anything. Smash the like button. You want to hit the little bell, that's fine too. I think these might be easier if I put them on a piece of tape. Let me grab. Might work on this. Let's see. As long as it's still sticky enough underneath. I'll peel off a layer here. Yeah. There we go. That'll work. Now I'll just pop 3 of these on one side, 2 on the other. And then now we can work with it. Marshmallow in the shape of a fish with a coating of chocolate. Oh, sounds like a pinwheel. We have pinwheels over here that are like that. It's basically marshmallow covered, chocolate. They are good. I could see how that would keep you going for a bit. Addictive, right? All right. These were tough to bend, these little seat frames. You'd think they would be a little, I mean, they look like they're relatively easy, but they were kind of challenging because where the bends were supposed to be, the edges were a bit, they're not as defined. They're not as a defined edge. The bend is easy to see, and so you're doing this complex bending, and then you've got to fold this little piece up, and so it was sometimes I had to be careful and really slow down a little bit and take your time, Nice part about some of this photo etch too is it actually covers up seams that would have had to normally be addressed um, later on with the assembly. I am going to, however, cheat a little bit on this. There's a couple of seams on here. So this piece goes on right here. It covers up a decent majority of this seam, but there's still this line right down the center to here. So I'm going to take a thin piece of plastic strip at about, well, let's see here. Where's my, get my little, doesn't have to be very thick. I think I've got enough in my stash. I should be able to find a decent piece. So this is about 4.5 millimeters. It's wider up here, but there's a little tiny square here. I'm going to cover that piece up. But rather than trying to fix this entire seam, which goes all the way down into here, I'm just going to lay a piece of plastic strip across it. And then the same thing along this bottom edge to here. I mean, this will be covered up. There's a piece that goes in here and then the back piece, but I could just lay a strip that'll fit right in between these two. I've got an extra piece of photo etch I'm going to put in here. And then I may have to do a little bit of some kind of closure back here where this, it's funny where they have you cut out the interior, when you gut the interior of this thing, they have you cut it pretty far back when you probably don't need to go that far back. Because the photo etch stops right about where the body stops right here, right at this line. That's pretty much where it ends up. So I don't know. It's a little too late for that, but I want to cover up all those openings as best I can so I don't give anybody a reason to go looking if I can help it. See, this piece is no longer used, so that can go in the box. All right, so let's do this. Actually, I can do the inside of this. So this will be painted as well, but it's in the very back, so it's not going to matter too much. I'll get those on later. I think I'm done with that. Now let's see what else we can do here. Let me soak this up. Hit the spot just right when the munchies kick in. Why do you have the munchies, Nigel? Do I dare ask? Or do I already know the answer to that question? You don't have to answer. All right, so earlier I was talking about this floor piece sits in somewhere right about here, this depth. So it doesn't go all the way up to here. If it did, I'd be able to fold these down and just lay it right on top and be perfect. But it sits right about, I think about halfway back. So what I've got to do, let me pop this back in real quick. Put the floor in. That fits in so easy. So now you got that there. This goes on in this position. So Yeah, it's really only, it looks like I may have to do two bends. I'm going to have to bend all those tabs down, and then at the end, the last 2 millimeters or so are going to have to take another bend. So let's see if we can manage to pull that off with my bender here. So we'll start with this bend first. This is all of them all at once. I should just be able to take this and bend it up, just like that. So now they've got a little bit of that downward, and now I want to go in again, only about 2 millimeters or so, right about there. Slide this under. There. All right, so now we've got that. So see, they go down a little bit and then they take another bend. So now, out of curiosity, let's just see how this lands. See if we got close. Now, without the sides in there, this thing falls right in. It's crazy. So let's see if this, oh my gosh, did I get close? Wow. That was just a blind attempt too. Wow, that is almost perfect. I think if I take that last bend and go and relieve it just a slight bit, but then go down a little bit with my first bend, it'll be perfect lineup. So you can see if it'll focus. So see at the top there, that's where those tabs come down. They're just overlapping that ramp, and that's what I need them to do. I'm going to have to spread those out. They're not quite straight. The floor piece they've been trying to keep them straight this whole time, but they're these tiny little tabs, and as you're moving this thing in and out, sometimes it gets a little. One of them gets bent. I got to bend it back, so they're not perfect, but that was pretty close. We're having only. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in and just take off a tiny bit of that first bend. I'm just going to take this and bend it back down right about there. And then straighten this one out a little bit. This one's bent in. This one's bent in the other way. Oops. See, it just takes one. It's easy to get one of them out of alignment. Okay, now take them all and go down just a tiny bit more. It's okay if there's a little bit of tension, surface tension from, if they press onto that piece as it goes up, that'll help hold them in place, so it's fine. I'd rather have it a little further down than it needs to be, because then when I put the landing gear piece up there, that'll push it right into place. Let's try that and see. Pop this back in. Oh, too far down. Uh-oh, looks like one of those little fingers might have actually broken off. That's why it looks weird. So I did lose one somewhere. I don't know where, but now that I'm looking at it, it looks like one's missing. Let's try that. Get on there. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good. Oh, shit. So now those all kind of line up with the floor back there. Yeah, if I lost one, I don't know when I did or where because I don't see it. I don't see anything on the bench. But it's such a small little tab; it's hard to catch. Is the binner got rounded as well? It has some. I mean, this isn't very complex, but you can see there's a few here on the side, and there's this kind of complex, curved one here. There's one here. There's some smaller ones along this edge. They look like they're straight, but they're curved. So it does have a few. I mean, it's for a little tiny bender. At the time I bought it because I was just doing the Valkyries and stuff. I wasn't doing big ship models, because the ship ones are really where you need those crazy kind of bends and stuff. So I got to fix something real quick here. This photo etch has some really thin bits that stick up in the front. And I just kind of pulled one up, so I'm going to tack it down real quick before it bends and breaks. Here we have horizontal rain here. Jeez. Yeah, we've had some pretty good rain here too, but not horizontal. It was dumping yesterday. Started almost flooding again in certain areas. It's been really bad. All right. So let me tack this down. There. Fixed. In case I get any glue stuck to my tweezers here, I just scrape that off real quick. All right. 40, 50 mile an hour winds. Damn, dude. Stay away from New Zealand right now. Jeez. That's insane. Well, stay safe, my friend. We don't need you getting blown away. Is your house secure? Everything like that? I mean, you're not worried about, any like roof damage or anything like that? Or I hope not. That'd be terrible. Okay. All right, what's next? What can we do? Already did those. Let me see how those dried up. Yeah, looks pretty good. These are ready for paint now, or primer. Now these are going to be done in a metallic. I was looking at the screenshots I have of the interiors, and these frames are kind of like they just look like a gray metal. A lot of the stuff's gray inside, just different shades of gray. So it's going to be a nice, cool palette inside, but yeah, this stuff, it definitely fogs up once you put that primer on there, or that promoter. It kind of fogs the surface a little bit. You can see. So I'm hoping that doesn't leave a texture. It shouldn't, but I hope not. All right, so Let me see if I can maybe I can prep some of these pieces. There are some metal frames that go inside this canopy. It's not that one. Is it this one? Yes. All right. So there's two frames that literally have to be folded in half and glued together. And then there's some, looks like handrails that have little tabs that need to be folded down. So this is kind of, I know it's kind of a funky angle, but it's kind of looking like that. So you're seeing this at an angle. See the two tabs here, two tabs. So you got these little bitty handrails that go on the top. It looks like they go in right where, I got to see if the glass comes in from the top. If the glass comes in from the top, which it looks like it does, then I'm good, because then I can put all those pieces in, no problem. Not a problem. So let's go refer to the original manual here. And see where, yep. Okay, so all the glass comes in from the outside. So what I'll do is I can either mask it off after I install the glass, or mask it off before and paint the edges, spray the edges before I install them. I don't know what would be best. It might be best to install them first. But since they come in from the outside, it should be okay installing all of these pieces on the inside, I think. I say that now, but then I still got to paint. Yeah, okay, that would be best, I think, because then I can paint this whole frame inside and out and then install the glass, or put the glass in or paint the inside, put the glass in, mask off each panel so it's just those tabs are going to be exposed, so those get paint. So I think I want to cover those up if I can, try to cover those tabs up. Talked about that at the beginning. Enriching when weathering, the general dust will be light sand colored. What's this? You put a roof on last year. God, good. That's awesome. When weathering, the general dust will be light sand colored, and the spice dust will be a paprika color. Well, I think I might have something that will look kind of like that, but I think this is going to be a flying diorama, because the kit's not going to be on the ground. They're going to be airborne. So I don't know what kind of base. I don't know if I'm going to use this or not. This is the base that came with it. It's kind of generic. I could possibly fashion, the piece that attaches to the model to something. I don't know. I haven't figured out what I want to do for a base yet. Now I'm just trying to get this thing done. So let's bend some photo etch here. So I got these two pieces. These are the ones I've got to bend straight down the middle. So they're kind of tricky. These little ones, I don't know. Those are you can see. Can you guys see that or not? I don't know. Let me bring this up a little closer. So we've got a piece that we've got to fold in half. Then those go in along this whole, almost this entire length. Then you've got these tiny little handles. There's 4, 2 on each side, and then 2 longer ones down at the bottom. This is the other side of this. So there's 2 of those, 2 of everything. So let's start with this. I need to see what I'm doing here. Your 2 cents, paint everything, and then install the glass. Yeah, I think I like your idea. See, here's the thing. I don't want these tabs on the glass to show up as clear. But I like those to be the frame color. So I may have to, I could even do it. I suppose actually, these have a frame on them. So I will need to paint these. They're around these actually already. I just noticed a line that goes all the way around each one of these panels. So this will need to be painted as far as the frame, so I can mask off the whole intersection there, and then it's still gonna. It looks like it's still gonna expose half of that tab though, because the tabs go past that frame line, and I think that's what the guy was talking about when I was watching his video. He was like, "Yeah, I tried to cover those up, but they're still a little visible. There's just no way to get around it. I don't think." Yeah, because even if you paint it, even if you mask it right up to that edge, that frame, it's still going to overlap. See what I'm talking about? Let's see if you can see that or not. Get it to focus. Okay, so you see how the tabs go past that thin perimeter frame there. So even if I paint the outer edge of that, it'll cover that up. It'll cover this part of it up, but it's still gonna. You're still gonna see it on the inside. So I guess there's no way around it. But at least we know we gotta paint them first. I may do that on the runner. We'll see. Might be easier, and then it takes a little bit of touch up by hand on the where the injection points or the sprues are. In the meantime, I'm going to cut out some of these and see if I can't screw up a piece of photo etch. Right? I don't want to. Man, this is some thin stuff. Yeah, boy. If these if these get jacked up, there's no coming back. They are thin. What do we got? About another 15 minutes. At least the nibs on these pieces are really thin. So now, hopefully, I think this is just big enough because I got to bend this in half. So I'm hoping that it's thin enough or long enough to go on the entire length. It looks like it is. I just got to get it lined up in the middle here before I make my bend. Come on. Don't you get... There we go. Trying to get this lined up dead center. Gosh, this darn thing. So all there is like a little tiny. There has to be is one little burr, and it just wants to hang up. Doesn't want to fully slide underneath the part. There we go. Now I've got it straight. Okay, so let's do this bend, and hopefully once we get it started, it'll finish. Be able to finish the bend, because it's got to go all the way to fold it in half. It's basically got like a taco shell. It's going to go all the way together. And we're going to glue the two halves together. So I'm actually going to try to go past vertical. So when I do get ready to take this off, You can just finish the bend. Oh boy. Yeah, not fun. Where are you? Oh man. Yeah, it's still, I mean, you can see that it's already deformed a little bit because I'm just trying to, once I get these edges, wow, that piece is really fragile. So now what I'm going to do, now that I've got it folded, I'm going to actually just place it under this whole thing and then kind of clamp it down to kind of flatten it out. And get a good tight. Make a fake frame line in the black layer. Then first normal canopy frame over it. A fake frame line with a black layer. Huh. I think I know what you're saying. All right, so that piece there has turned into that there. And that is supposed to go all the way down. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. This stuff is so freaking fragile. I'm going to flip this one over. All right, let's do that again. We're almost out of time anyway. Make a fake frame line with a black layer first, then the normal canopy frame over it. Oh, like just inside of that, just to the inside of that, that tab that's there. Wow. This whole thing just deformed on me as soon as I went to try to get the razor underneath it. There we go. I'm going to go real slow. I see. That's a good idea. Yeah, almost like a window seal. You know, you got a little black rubber seal or whatever the case may be. Oh shit. It grabbed my finger. As soon as I went to move my hand, it grabbed my finger, and now I've got to fix this deformation here. Man, you talk about delicate. All right, now let's try to flatten that thing out again. Damn it. It keeps snagging my stupid fingers, man. My skin's so dry. It's like as soon as I go to move my hand, it snags my finger and then it bends the shit out of it because it's just a really, really thin. It's going to take a little bit of straightening, but we'll get it. PE nightmares, yep. Yes, sir. I'm doing it live. Yeah, that one did not turn out as well as the first one, man. It's better. Now that it's flattened out, it's not so bad, but we'll have to compare that. We'll go to put it on the glass or put it on the frame. I may have to adjust it a little bit. I'm not going to take those little ones. I'm not going to cut those little handles out right now because we're running out of time here. I've got, let's see, that's this piece, I think. No. Oh yeah, there's the tiny one. So they actually give you, I only need 4 of these number 17s, but they give you 6. And then the other rails are here. Those are the number 36. Yeah. Oh, that's 35. Wait a minute. Oh, there's 35 is the long ones. Oh, 36. Okay, so only need 2, and there's 3 there. There's 3 of those in case you screw one up. And then there's only 2 of those 35s. So there's actually 8 more pieces that I've got to cut out. I'm just not going to do that tonight. We'll get to it during the week after my son leaves, after his visit. All right. So let's wrap this up here. Okay. So little steps, baby steps, progress here. I've got those PE treated and ready to go as far as a primer. And then hopefully I didn't leave any textures on that stuff. And when I prime it, I may end up sticking this to a piece of tape as well. It's probably the easiest way to paint this because I can't really grab anything with a clip. So I'll probably just take one of my little gaff tape skewers that I do, stick a lot of things to, and I'll stick that down the middle. That's the strongest part of that piece, and then anything else like that, stick to a skewer or something like that, and then try to put some primer down and see what's going on. So cool stream, bro. Thank you as always. Let's go back through the stream here. Let's see who joined in, and we'll go back up to the top. Nigel, of course, he's cheating again. He was there at 5, actually not as bad as last time. He's only 5 o'clock this time. Last time it was like 3 in the morning, I think it was last week, Pacific time. Giovanni a close second at 6:01. Then George popped in at 6:01 as well. Julius shortly after that. And then we had Nick, I think, after that. Yeah, that's the next one. And then Mary Jerry. Thank you again. I appreciate your kind words. And please continue to watch the stream. I appreciate it. Support the YouTube channel, though, too. I know you're hanging out on Twitch, but I really could use the support on the YouTube channel. This also goes to Facebook, but I don't trust Facebook as much anymore because they always delete my videos after 90 days. Their new storage policy is kind of stupid. But I have been getting a lot of crazy amount of followers. It's kind of nuts. I'm almost at, I think, 8,000 now, almost. Or no. What am I at? And I haven't done anything to really promote that all that much. It's just nuts. Let's see here. Let's switch profiles. See where we're at. Yeah, okay, almost 7,000. So it's 6912 at the moment. But I need to get the YouTube numbers up. That's where I really need help. So anywho, thanks everybody. Angel came in after that. Yeah, he was the last one in, and then that was pretty much it for everybody in the chat. Again, appreciate each and every one of you. Please like, share, subscribe. It truly does help, and doesn't cost you anything. And anyway, we'll probably do a normal live stream next week. But then it's possible that the week after I might have to adjust the start time. I talked about that last week with my current or new job. I'll be getting off slightly later in the afternoon, and then I've got a longer drive time. So I might be showing up at the house right about the time to start. So that's why I may have to jump it back to 6:30, maybe 30 minutes later. Maybe that will work. I'll have to play that by ear, but hopefully it'll work out. Just keep your eye on that notification bell if you'll know exactly when we're on. So anyway, we'll see everybody. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you next week. We'll see you on the next one. Peace out.